For over a decade, he was untouchable. Drake wasn't just an artist. He was a movement. He didn't ride the waves of hip-hop. He controlled the tide. From the moment he stepped into the game, he was the golden boy, the king who could do no wrong. Every year, every chart, every trend belonged to him. But empires don't last forever. Every dynasty eventually meets its reckoning. And for Drake, that reckoning came in the form of a man named Kendrick Lamar, the immovable object that finally stopped the unstoppable force. Toronto, late 2000s. A former child actor, known for playing a wheelchair-bound teen on Degrassi, enters the rap game. He's different. He's emotional in a genre built on bravado, vulnerability where there was once only aggression, hooks that sounded like they were born in Ranbaheaven. People laughed at first. A rapper who sings? A pretty boy from Canada? But then the hits came. Best I Ever Had, Over, headlines. By the time Take Care dropped, the laughter stopped. Drake wasn't just winning. He was changing the DNA of hip-hop. He blurred lines. He made it okay to feel, okay to cry, okay to be melodic. And then came the run, the legendary run. Mixtapes, albums, features. For a decade straight, Drake was everywhere. The charts bent to his will. Every summer belonged to him. Every feature he touched turned to gold. He wasn't just an artist. He was the culture. But beneath the shine, cracks were forming. It didn't happen overnight. It was slow, subtle. But if you look closely, you could see it. Drake had a formula, a genius one. When a region was hot, Drake was there. When a sound was bubbling, Drake hopped on it before it went mainstream. Afrobeats? He gave us one dance. UK drill? He gave us war. Dance hall? Controlla. Latin vibes? Mia with Bad Bunny. He was everywhere, and yet nowhere fully his own. Every sound he touched elevated him, but it left a lingering question. Who is Drake without the trends he borrows? Then came the ghostwriting scandal. Quentin Miller. Reference tracks. Suddenly, the pen that built an empire didn't look so royal anymore. It sparked a war with Meek Mill, a war Drake won publicly, with hits like Back to Back, but the stain remained. And then there were the whispers. Whispers about DMs to young women, about friendships that blurred into something else, about behavior that didn't fit the image of the untouchable star.
You know, we just texted each other the other day and he was like, I miss you so much. I was like, I miss you more. About boys, he helps me.
What?
Yeah, he's great. He's wonderful. I love him.
What's his advice with boys?
You know, that stays in the text messages.
It stayed under the surface for years, hidden by his charm, his hits, and his ability to stay ahead of every wave, until Dot came calling. Kendrick Lamar had always been there, lurking in the shadows, quiet, calculated, focused on art, not antics. While Drake dominated charts, Kendrick dominated hearts. He wasn't just a rapper, he was a poet, a Pulitzer winner, a storyteller with a purpose. And for years, fans debated, who's the greatest, Drake or Kendrick? Drake had the numbers, Kendrick had the respect, but neither had ever gone for the jugular. Not really, until now. When Kendrick dropped like that, the tone changed. He didn't just take a shot, he fired a missile, a direct hit at Drake's legacy. Then came Euphoria, then Meet the Grams, and finally the nail in the coffin, Not Like Us. Each track wasn't just a diss, it was an autopsy. Kendrick didn't come to spar, he came to destroy. He took every crack in Drake's armor and split it wide open. The ghostwriting, the trend hopping, the obsession with being relevant, the allegations of grooming and inappropriate behavior, things the public had whispered for years. Kendrick screamed from the rooftops, and suddenly the internet turned. The unstoppable force had met the immovable object, and for the first time in his career, Drake looked vulnerable. The memes came, the think pieces, the debates, and slowly the narrative shifted. Drake wasn't the hero anymore, he was the villain. The man who once defined cool was now the subject of punchlines. His response tracks, technical, clever, but empty of soul. Because this wasn't just about rap, it was about truth, and truth always hits harder than any bar. So where does that leave Drake? The man who owned an entire decade, who made vulnerability mainstream, who shattered streaming records and built an empire that touched every corner of the globe. Does one feud erase that? No, but it changes it. Because now, when we talk about Drake, we don't just talk about the hits, we talk about the cracks. We talk about the man behind the music, the flaws Kendrick forced us to see, and maybe that's the tragedy of it all. For years, Drake was an unstoppable force, but every force meets its limit, and his limit had a name. Kendrick Lamar, the immovable object, the man who reminded the world that numbers don't make legends, truth does. Make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more of these videos.